I think we are on live. So before starting the main session, we'll just play one game, and this game will be 30 seconds of sharing. And this game will be between me, Deeprabhai, and also the viewers who are watching. I can see quite a few viewers who are watching now the session. And the name of this game is the sharing game of 30 seconds. So I'm starting the countdown, and after countdown, we'll start the official session. Thank you. So I think we can start the session now. And Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone to the grand episode of YT Talks. And today we'll be having the Toastmaster champion, Aaron Beverly, with us. And today, before starting, I want to say that we are so much honored to have RYC Global as the co-host for the show. And besides that, Iskam Sizdare Torun Bangla Radio 95.2 FM and Insignia as the partners for the show. And we'll be starting the session soon. And can we welcome our chief guest?
Definitely.
So, definitely. With no further ado, let's welcome Aaron Beverly. Welcome, sir, to YT Talks grand episode.
Thank you very much.
So now I'm giving the floor to Deeprabhai officially to start the interview session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Onik. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in this evening, morning, or afternoon from different corners of the world. This is Deepak Protay serving as the official guest host. And today, it is an honor for me as a sort of public speaker, I must say, to have such an amazing figure right in front of me, Mr. Aaron Beverly. And sir, first of all, it's an honor to have you in the first place. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I always tell people every day that I wake up and I'm healthy, that's a good day.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So I hope that the COVID-19 situation over there is pretty much under control and you are very safe and sound.
We have some work to do, but we'll get through it.
That is really perfect. That is really perfect. So I would officially like to commence the session by stating something that is, at least to me, it's something very important. So I personally believe that your entire life is like a Netflix series, and your childhood is the best episode of that series. So, sir, talking about you, like, I think 99.9% of them know who you are, but for that 0.1%, we would like to know about your childhood. Like, I believe that childhood is the best session that anyone can have in their life. So how did it all begin? How did Aaron Beverly come to existence in this life? Would you like to share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, my life started in a single parent household. I was raised primarily by my mother. I grew up in the city called Philadelphia. Philadelphia is about 2 hours away from New York. And I grew up with an older sister of mine. Now, when you say that childhood is the best part of your life, you really can only appreciate that in your adulthood. When you become an adult, you appreciate the love that you received when you were a child and the privileges that you received when you were a child. But as a child at the time, I thought that it was the worst thing ever, especially when my mother made me do public speaking for the first time. I was about 6 years old and I grew up in a Christian household. So my mother, one day we were going to church and she just has this brilliant idea where I will read a passage in front of our entire church congregation. This is about 300 people. And obviously, me being a 6-year-old at the time, I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, like, this woman must be crazy. But growing up in my household, there wasn't a lot that I could do about it. Children were not allowed to say no to a parent. And I foolishly said no to my mother. And in that instance, I was faced with humanity's two greatest fears. Speaking in front of the church congregation, that was the fear of public speaking. And facing my angry mother, that was the fear of death. since I'm still here, you know what option I chose. But that was my first introduction into public speaking. But without that, I would have never have known what public speaking was. I would have never been given the opportunity to get in front of people and start speaking. Little did I know that public speaking was going to be something that was going to dramatically change my life. So I look back on my childhood now and I say, you know what? That was really transformative. That really helped me become who I am today.
That is crazy, sir. That is really crazy to hear. Like honestly speaking, a lot of people do not start off really smooth. But they say that I have been starting public speaking for the last 2 years, 3 years. But being an individual who has had the art of public speaking since he was 6 years old, I definitely believe that you would have some amazing tricks and strategies for the newcomers who are willing to start off their public speaking career in countries like Bangladesh would be highly benefited by this. So once again, I still cannot do it. I'm literally shaking right now as we have Aaron Beverly in front of me. But yeah, so I shall be moving on to the next part, and that comes to family. So Mr. Aaron, I know that you have already stated about you being like raised by in a single parent family, but I just really want to know that, let's say my parents personally support me a lot in this journey of public speaking. However, a lot of people in our subcontinent have this very unfortunate taboo sort of a thing that extracurricular activities, including public speaking, MUNs, whatever you call it, they actually hamper a student's education. Although, like it's a fact that if you want to get into the top-notch colleges or want to be successful in life, you require a lot of skills apart from education. So, did you have that support from your family, friends when it came to extracurricular activities? And what do you want to tell to those parents who are actually thinking that academics is everything? You know what I'm saying about?
Yeah. For me, it was a similar situation for me growing up where grades were great, education was great, but you needed more in order to get ahead. You
Right.
needed to show people that you were able to work with people. You needed to show people that you could show aspects of leadership. You had to do those extracurriculars. So me growing up, I was encouraged to do extracurricular activities, not just public speaking, but I was encouraged to do sports. I was encouraged to sing on choirs. I was encouraged to do a lot of things. Now, mind you, as a kid at the time, I didn't want to do it. So we say encourage, but it was more so forced. But I still look back and I say that that was what helped me. So you need everything. You have to be a well-rounded individual. So if there is a parent out there who says that extracurricular isn't worth it, or they just want to have their children focus on education, or even people who just say extracurricular is everything and people just ignore the education part, we need to understand that we need to be well-rounded. So you have to have a balance of those extracurricular activities, those people skills, and those other soft skills that are going to help you throughout your life, in addition to the education.
That is really crazy. All right, so Onik, I would like to move to you with the school and
So
college life.
I used to listen in the speech of Aaron Beverly sir. He used to say that he was an introvert from very first. So I want to just listen about your school and college life. How was that? And what about your speaking quality in that time? Like you in every speech you used to say that you was an introvert and also not good in public speaking.
Yeah. So when I went to college, I still hated public speaking. I actually, even though I had started public speaking when I was 6 years old, I still hated it. I still was nervous. I still didn't want anything to do with it. But I would find myself in situations where I had to get in front of people and speak. It wasn't until I went to college that I actually started to understand what public speaking meant and how it could benefit me. But when I was in college, I was still a very quiet person. I even make a joke in one of my world championship speeches is that if people heard that Aaron Beverly was speaking in front of 2,000 people at a Toastmasters World Championship, they would say, wow, that's amazing. Aaron can talk. So I was a person who was quiet. I still consider myself an introvert. When I am around people, I lose energy. Social interaction drains me. Now, if I am by myself and I'm just laying about, that is where I'm most comfortable. That's where I recharge my batteries. So I always have to balance myself out because I know that if I go into a crowd and I start socializing, I'm going to become tired. I will physically become drained and I will require some isolation and some rest. But one thing that I want to make clear for anybody who may be an introvert or classify themselves as an introvert, that has absolutely nothing to do with your ability to speak to people. So don't use introversion as an excuse to say, "Oh, I can't do public speaking because I'm an introvert." No, that doesn't matter. Introversion and extroversion is just a matter of where you gain and lose your energy when it comes to social interaction. If you're an extrovert, you can thrive in public speaking. If you're an introvert, you can thrive in public speaking. However, on the other hand, if you're an extrovert, you can totally suck at public speaking. And if you're an introvert, you can suck at public speaking. So it doesn't matter. What does matter is that you look at the speech that you're supposed to give or the presentation that you're supposed to give. You look at your audience and you create a message that is tailored to that audience. That is the biggest key.
That is really
So,
crazy.
like I said you about the Bangladeshi people, there are a lot of people who fear about public speaking. So, what will you tell about those people who fears about public speaking?
Yeah,
The first
absolutely.
stage.
Like I said before, I've hated public speaking. And the reason why I hated public speaking was because deep down I feared public speaking. But there is a saying that I like to say a lot now. In order to get over your fear, you have to specify what it is. If you do not specify your fear, you are guaranteed to intensify your fear. So let's just take public speaking. People say, "I fear public speaking." Well, guess what? Public speaking is a huge, broad topic. What about public speaking will make you fearful? What about it makes you anxious? What about it makes you nervous? Is it the fact that you have to stand alone on a stage where you're usually more comfortable in groups? Or is it something where you don't know what to say? Are you afraid that you're going to forget what you're going to say? That actually happened to me. I got on stage and I only had to say 3 lines, but when I got up on stage, I blanked out. That was when I realized what my specific fear of public speaking was. And in order to get over your fear, you have to first specify what the fear is. Now, I know, so taking the Bangladeshi people, for example, now maybe their issue with public speaking is they aren't afraid of giving a speech in their native tongue. But if they have to give a presentation in English, then it becomes more difficult for them. They're afraid that they're not going to sound right. They're afraid that they're not going to say the right thing. Well, guess what? You just specify what your fear is. So you have to take action on that specific fear. The action that you can take grammar courses. One of the courses that I always recommend for grammar, and it's free, it's Khan Academy. A lot of people know the Khan Academy for science and math tutorials and lessons, but there's also a grammar session on Khan Academy. I took it myself, and I'm a native English speaker, and I learned something. So it's something that you can always work on if you specify what the fear is.
That is really crazy.
That's amazing. Deepak, up to you.
Yeah. So, Mr. Aaron, I really wanted to know something, right? So, for example, if you think of a professional background, what happens is you do not start off really big. You start off really small. You have already stated that you started your public speaking when you were 6. That brings me to my second question. I believe that you did not, this is just a guess from my side, you did not start off your professional public speaking journey from Toastmasters itself. Rather, obviously, there were a couple of preliminary stages before becoming the world champion. So, sir, this is a question to you that how did your professional public speaking career begin before your journey to Toastmasters?
Well, professionally, my public speaking career didn't exist. Public speaking wasn't something that I even knew about. I actually joined Toastmasters in 2009. It was in 2009 where I said to myself, we are right now in a economic crisis. We need to find ways to stand out from the crowd. So I had to use public speaking as a way to stand out from the crowd. It just so happened that in 2009, I was greatly inspired by the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama, and seeing his ability to speak, seeing his ability to motivate people. I wanted to have that ability. So when I joined Toastmasters, I wanted to get over my specific fear of forgetting what I wanted to say. I conquered that by just simply practicing. And I also wanted to improve my skills so that I could stand out and get advanced in my career. It was through Toastmasters that I was able to put down on my resume that I could speak to a crowd, that I could lead people. For people who don't know, Toastmasters is a worldwide organization that helps you with your communication and your leadership skills. So it's not just about giving speeches, it's about applying your communication skills to something like leadership. I was able to get a job, I believe, because I was able to put Toastmasters on my resume and I was able to demonstrate that I could communicate effectively. And in addition to that, a few years later, when I was looking for a new job, I wanted a job as a project manager, but there was one problem. I had zero project management experience. I only had a desire to be a project manager, but I also had abilities to communicate with people. I had the ability to lead a meeting effectively. That was something that was showcased when I was able to utilize a very underappreciated skill that you can learn in a Toastmasters club, in a Toastmasters environment, and that's networking. I was able to learn how to network properly, and I realized that networking wasn't necessarily you getting something from somebody else. Networking is about the value that you can give to someone else, not what you can get. So there was an occasion where I wanted to be a project manager, and there was a new Toastmasters club chapter that was being started at my job. Now, I wasn't in that department at the time, but because I knew what a Toastmaster chapter was supposed to be like, I sat down in on their meeting, I participated, I ended up joining them, and I established value by telling them that I'm an experienced Toastmaster, I can help you. Now, I later learned that the people who started that Toastmasters club, they were project managers. So I was able to network with them. I was able to get in their good graces. I was able to get a project management job, again, without project management experience. So when we think of public speaking and the benefits that it can give you professionally, this is the benefit. It's not always just about getting on stage in front of a large group of people and that's what you consider professional speaking. Communication can help you in many other aspects in your professional career. It can help you get a job. It can help you with an interview. It can help you with the meetings that you're supposed to run in the corporate world. Public speaking is something that is very broad and very, very vast. Now, when it comes to my actual professional speaking career, what we know as professional speaking, it came through Toastmasters. One of the misconceptions about Toastmasters is that it is where you go to become a professional speaker. That's not true. Toastmasters helps you learn the basics and the foundations of communication and leadership. Now, it's up to you to take those skills and use them how you see fit. It was through opportunities that I received in Toastmasters, though, that I was able to connect with people who wanted me to speak professionally. I remember my first professional speaking gig was at a conference. It was a conference and I was going to talk for 90 minutes. And I had never talked for 90 minutes before. But
that is huge.
I was able to do it. And it was because of everything that I learned before. And I've been doing professional speaking events ever since, but I still have my full-time job.
That is great.
Amazing.
Onik, I think we have a lot of comments coming up. I can see that the comment section has been flooded. So with Mr. Aaron's discretion, we will be taking some comments from a lot of public speaking enthusiasts who have been waiting to talk to the legend himself. So Onik, we can move on to a couple of comments.
So let's take a comment from the audience. And please, Tanzim Mahmood, please tell us about your inspiration.
My inspiration. Well, I kind of alluded to it before where I said I was greatly motivated by watching Barack Obama in his 2008 presidential campaign. He was a really big inspiration for me when it came to wanting to speak and knowing how effective public speaking could be in the advancement of your career. But he wasn't my only inspiration. I initially joined Toastmasters International because of a man named Dilip Abeysekera. He is from the country of Sri Lanka, and he was actually a former president of Toastmasters International, the entire Toastmasters organization back in 2005, 2006. He was the person who introduced me to Toastmasters, and I saw his ability to speak. And I always joke that Dilip Abeysekera could make an eye-watering speech that would make you cry talking about pocket lint. Just take some lint out of his pocket and he can make a great speech out of it.
Crazy.
I remember he gave a quick speech about a pen. Me and my classmates, we gave him the prompt of talk about this pen. We gave it to him as a joke, like, okay, there's no way that you can make a good speech out of a pen. And when he was finished, we were all just sitting there like, wow, that was really good. And his ability to speak, that started me wanting to get better at speaking and learning more of how I could be more like him and talk more like him. So he was my initial inspiration to want to speak better.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
That's awesome.
All right.
I think we can take one more comment.
Yeah, perfect. But Mr. Aaron, if I get the opportunity to be a guest somewhere in the next 50 years, and if someone asks me who is your inspiration, I would definitely say Mr. Aaron Beverly. So the cycle just continues over and over again.
The audience are also typing that inspiration, inspiring story, man. A lot of comments like inspiration. So we will be taking one more comment, and it is.
Please tell us how you endured.
Please tell us about how you endured your fear.
Yes. And I actually really love the way that this question is formed. You have to endure your fear. You never really conquer your fear. You never really eliminate your fear. You have to endure it. And your ability to endure the fear is what's going to help you thrive. So it's not necessarily that you eliminate your fear, but you can act despite having the fear. That is where courage comes from. But the things that I do to endure my fear, there are several different things that I do. One, I talked about before, you have to specify where that fear is coming from. You can't fight an enemy that you don't know. You can't fight an enemy that is too big to fight. So you have to specify so that you can make that huge mountain of fear into a smaller hurdle of, okay, I'm just afraid of not knowing what I want to say. So I need to practice more. Now, that's one thing that I do. I specify what my fear is, but some other practical things that you can do to help you calm yourself down. It's going to sound cliche because we hear it all the time, but just breathe. Just calm down, breathe. Like right now, let's just take a moment just to take in a deep breath and sometimes you need to stop and actually breathe and intentionally breathe. Because when you are nervous, when you're about to speak, you'll find that your heart is racing. You'll find that you have those butterflies in your stomach. You really need to get your mind off of your nervousness. And the best thing that you can do, or one of the easiest things that you can do, is just to concentrate on your breath. It's a meditation, basically. You concentrate on breathing in and out, and that way you're not thinking about being nervous. You're not thinking about the moment at hand. You're not thinking about getting on stage. I'll let you know right now that before the World Championship of Public Speaking, I was nervous. Now, the first thing I did, I specified what it was. I was nervous not because of the speech that I was about to give. I knew my speech. I wasn't nervous because of the audience, because I had spoken in front of a Toastmaster audience for the past 10 years. I knew what a Toastmasters audience was like. What was making me nervous was the simple fact that this was for the World Championship of Public Speaking. I was about to get on a stage and it was major stakes at play. I decided that I needed to get my mind off of it. So I just started to breathe. Something else that I did, I started to move around. Like I said before, your heart is racing, your adrenaline is up. When you are nervous or anxious, your body wants to run away because it feels that there's something that's making you afraid. So it doesn't want to confront the thing that is making you afraid because it thinks that it's life or death. Your body does not know the difference between you speaking in front of a large audience and being afraid and you being chased down by a lion afraid. So your body wants to move. So I allowed my body to move. I was rarely just sitting down doing nothing. I would listen to music. I would dance in my chair because I'm not a good dancer, so I can't dance anywhere but except my chair. I decided that I needed to move even more, so I started to conduct invisible choirs. Anything that I could do to get my body to move around, I did it so that I could tell my body, okay, we're moving around now, so you can calm down. But at the end of the day, it comes down to just taking your mind off of the major fear or the moment at hand. You need to just concentrate, breathe a little bit. You can listen to music, but move around. Do all of that, and you can help alleviate some of the fears that you have.
Great. Sure. That brings me to a tasked question to this. Let's say that you said that you were extremely nervous before your public speaking speech, right? Before the grand finale. So what about, like, there are a lot of people in the audience and also in the Asian subcontinent who cannot specify the fear that they have. Rather, they consider the entire public speaking thing as a generalized fear. So we have talked about identifying your fear, but the question is, what about those people who actually are not able to identify what is their fear? They just do not like whenever they think about public speaking or a microphone or an audience, they're scared, but they do not actually know what are they scared of. So do they have to try out a couple of places before they finally understand the problem is, or what is your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you hit the nail on the head there, that they have to go out and try to see. So I would not tell anybody who is fearful of public speaking to go up in front of an audience of 2,000 people and give your first ever speech. No, do not do that. Take some baby steps. First, start by speaking in front of a few friends. The thing is, we are actually more used to public speaking than we would like to admit. We do public speaking every single day. We have to change our mentality of what public speaking is. A conversation with friends, that's public speaking. What we're doing right now, an interview style talk, that's public speaking. Calling your friend on the phone, that is public speaking. Leading a meeting at work, that is public speaking. Public speaking encompasses a lot. It's not about just getting on stage in front of an audience. So you have to realize first that you do public speaking every day. Second, you now start small. Start with a small audience with a group of friends, a family member. Tell a story. Do something very small and simple. And there you can see where you are still nervous, where you are still afraid. If you're not afraid, then you can try something a little bit bigger. So you can take baby steps and gradually grow. Now, at the same time, you still have to try to be 100% truthful with yourself as to what your fear really is. So while you're working on specifying your fear, take those baby steps, but still just look internally, think about what is making you afraid and what isn't.
Really crazy. That's a great way to like properly address that question. So thank you so much, Mr. Beverly. Onik, I think that we can take a couple of more comments.
Yeah, I have a big comment in the comment section.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Comment from
Sir,
Zaman.
I do have one thing to learn from you. That is, I totally love to talk, but when it comes to public speaking, I sometimes hesitate that what I'm going to tell next isn't it creating any kind of controversy, and sometimes I just feel so empty that when I'm even supposed to talk. I would love to have these answers from the world champion and follow all of his suggestions throughout my whole life. Thanks in advance.
Well, when it comes to speaking, you have to be comfortable with one critical thing: silence. We always feel that when we're on stage and when we're talking that we have to fill every single moment with our words. You don't need to do that. Sometimes your points will be better if you state them and then deliver a pause. You have to be comfortable with silence. So when it comes to you speaking, I would say first, slow down your speaking rate. When I'm speaking, I don't speak at my normal, when I give, or I should say, when I'm giving a speech or when I'm in a formal session, I don't use my normal speaking rate. My normal speaking rate is much faster than this. And when I'm speaking my normal speaking rate, I will tend to stutter. I will tend to trip over my words. But when I'm on stage, I slow down my speaking rate so I can think about what I want to say. And then when I say it, I'm not afraid to pause. I'm not afraid to have a few moments of silence before moving on to the next topic. This pausing can really help you know what you want to say next, but it also will help you if you ever get stuck. If you get stuck, that's fine. You can just pause a moment, think about what you want to say, and then continue on with your speech. Most of the time, people won't even notice that you were pausing because you forgot something. They'll think that it was part of your presentation.
That is really interesting. Really great way to address it.
And
And I would like
this is your topic that you are talking about. I can take that. And what I love most about your speech is your pauses. I saw your pause for 5 seconds straight, even. What's the secret to leaving an impact on your audience using pauses?
Well, I think it's the overall speech and the overall effect of what I'm saying with the pause. So, like I was saying before, your points can be emphasized more if you pause. One point in my 2019 World Championship speech, I tell everybody, this is your mission. Take it very seriously. That short pause makes it a little bit more emphatic, but the pause by itself means nothing. Before that pause came, I was starting to slow down my rate of speech. You could tell through the tone of my voice that I was about to end. So there are multiple things that you have to think of when you're talking about impact. It's not just the pausing, it's the pacing and it's the words that you're using.
really crazy. Really crazy. So, I was actually writing in the chat option that, I thought that you were gone. Like something happened with your internet and you were gone. So that was an excellent way of, like, very natural way of using the pause. And we truly loved it. So I think that we can move on to our next segment, if everything's good. So, Mr. Aaron, I have a really interesting question for you. And that is, you have talked about Toastmasters, how Toastmasters has shaped your public speaking career, and now we are talking to the champion itself. So about Toastmasters, a lot of people, as you said, it's a misconception that Toastmasters is basically a public speaking platform a competition rather, where people go and compete. But I personally, being like a follower of Toastmasters, know that the story is quite broad. So talking to you specifically, how did your Toastmasters journey commence, and how was the entire Toastmasters journey before, like basically, let's say the road to champion. So road to being a public speaking champion in Toastmasters, how did it go?
Okay. Well, my journey in Toastmasters, again, I started when I met Dilip Abhisekera. He introduced me to Toastmasters. I joined in 2009 after seeing Barack Obama. I joined as a senior in college. Now, when I joined Toastmasters, the first speech that you give in Toastmasters is called the icebreaker. The icebreaker is the first speech that you do, and that speech is about introducing yourself to the audience, the Toastmasters Club, and it's to show people the skills that you have. Now, at this time, I had already identified what my fear was. I didn't want to forget what I wanted to say. So I had to practice. And I tell people this, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, I practiced for 20 hours straight. And the speech that I gave was about 4 minutes long. So I practiced 20 hours for a 4-minute speech. But it was pretty good. And mind you, I do not advise that you practice for 20 hours straight. I have since learned other ways to practice your presentation that's a bit more time efficient. But when I was done my first public speaking speech in Toastmasters, the MC of the day, he got up, he looked at everybody, and he said, "There is a future world champion of public speaking." That was the first time that I ever heard of a world champion of public speaking. So I wanted to know what it took to become a world champion. I didn't join the actual Toastmasters contest, the international speech contest, until 2012. For people who don't know, the Toastmasters International speech contest is the largest speech contest in the world. And about 30,000 people compete in it every single year from in dozens of countries around the world. They go on 6 rounds to become the world champion of public speaking. In 2012, I decided that I was going to become the world champion of public speaking. My first year, I had a bit of an ego because back in 2009, somebody said that I was going to be a future world champion. I thought that it was destiny. I thought that it was going to happen. So when I did the first round, I won. And I do admit that it's probably because I was the only participant in that round, but I thought it was going to continue. I thought that I was going to keep winning round after round after round until I got to round 6 and won the world championship. But I couldn't get out of round 2. And I was devastated. But that's when I learned that it's not just enough to speak well. There's a craft to performing a good speech, and to give a good speech, especially in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest, you have to tell a good story, a good personal story that connects you to the people that you are talking to. Over the years, I learned how to craft a better story. But I also learned that you don't have to do it alone. In 2012, I decided that I was going to do it all by myself. But after not being able to get out of round 2, I decided to seek out a mentor. And I had the perfect mentor right in front of my face the entire time, which is something that a lot of people take for granted. They have viable mentors right in front of them, but they're so focused on other things that they don't take the opportunity to reach out to those people that are sitting right in front of them. I went back to Dilip Abhisekera, and he became my mentor and my only ever speech coach. And from 2012 to 2013, I went from not being able to get out of the second round of the speech contest to making it all the way to the semifinals of the speech contest. After that, it was a matter of trying to find my own style. In 2014, I started testing out different styles. I kind of went overboard and was a little bit too dramatic in 2014, but I also watched the 2014 world champion of public speaking be crowned, Danajaya Hidetarachi. He gave a very powerful speech and a very simple speech. It was just him, the audience, and his message. And I said to myself, I need to learn how to tell a story that is similar to that personal story that can get people on your side. 2015, I decided to try it out. I had a speech that I didn't think was going to do well, and it didn't do as well as previous speeches. But somebody came up to me afterwards and they said, Aaron, that was the best speech that I've ever heard you give. So I kept working on it. And that same speech, after working on it for another year, it took me to the World Championship of Public Speaking in 2016, where I placed second. Now, from 2016 and onward, I focused on speech execution and getting better with keeping my mind on the audience rather than the benefit that I could receive. One of my biggest regrets in 2016, people say, Aaron, the speech was great. I loved the speech. It could have won, and maybe it could have. But when I left that stage, I was not happy with my performance because I had allowed my mind to shift into how the judges were going to judge me instead of focusing on my message and my story to the audience. And it cost me the emotion that I feel when I gave my favorite story. It was about a young girl named Michelle whose mother inspired her. You can watch that speech on YouTube to hear the story in full, but I couldn't give that story with the same emotion that I had in previous practices. Had I been able to deliver that speech the way that I wanted to, I don't know if that would have changed the outcome. I don't know if I would have won first place, but I would have felt so much better about my own performance that I would have been content with coming in second. In 2017, I focused on speech execution. I couldn't make it back to the World Championship of Public Speaking, but when I left the stage, I was content because I knew that I gave my speech the best way that I possibly could. 2018, I actually regressed further. I couldn't make it back to the semifinals that year. And I will have to admit, I was a little bit down. I was upset because I felt that I was never going to be able to win the World Championship of Public Speaking. But I had to sit down and think to myself about all of the success that I had had throughout the years and the success that I had had that year. Even though I wasn't able to win at the highest level in the international speech contest, Toastmasters has other contests. The other contest that I had competed in was called an evaluation contest. And I won that in my first year ever competing in it. So I couldn't be happy about winning the evaluation contest because I was so bummed out about the international speech contest. I had to sit down and really say to myself, Aaron, you need to focus on your own successes. You need to focus on your own growth. So when I decided to compete again in 2019, I made a goal to focus on growth. My goal was not to win the World Championship of Public Speaking. But it just so happens that when I stopped trying to win the World Championship of Public Speaking, I won the World Championship of Public Speaking.
Brilliant, just brilliant.
That is crazy. Featuring your trophy. You're blessed. That's really amazing. That's really cool. So I think that we will be talking about some, like, one of the most important things. Let's say a lot of people tell you that, oh my God, you are the champion. Let's talk about your success. But I, being a person who personally loves to improve, let's say by 1% every single day to be a better version of myself, I would like to ask you, Mr. Beverly, what were the challenges that you faced? And an exciting linked question to this is, which I personally want to know, I have literally memorized every single line that you have in your winning speech of 2019. However, if you could go back in time and again go to that stage in front of so many people, what changes would you want in your speech if you want to change or not?
Yeah.
That is personally something that I want to know, because that has won a championship already. But what, according to you as a champion already, would love to change in that speech? Now, once you look at the video.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. So to the first one, what challenges did I face? The biggest challenge was really trying to be myself on stage. When we are on stage, we all of a sudden flip on that switch that says, okay, it's time to perform. But I don't want this to just be a performance. I want this to be authentic. I want people to feel that the Aaron Beverly that they see on the stage is the same Aaron Beverly that they see off the stage. So being authentic is really big for me, which leads me to the things that I would change in my speech. Now, there aren't that many places where I would want to change. Obviously, like we said, it won, so don't mess with a good thing. But at the same time, there were some lines where I thought, I don't think that was quite authentic enough. I think that was a little bit too forced. I think that that was a little bit too staged. I probably would have dialed it back a little bit. Now, I don't know if that would have changed the outcome or not, but again, it's just a matter of what I want out of my own performance. However, I will say that it was the best speech that I could give at that time. When I left the stage, I was content. Well, actually, I'm lying there. I wasn't quite content with my speech when I left that stage because I actually thought that I had forgotten a piece of my speech and that I didn't give it. I basically had blacked out, but my body was just moving on its own and my mouth was moving on its own. And apparently I said every single word that I intended to say when I looked at the video. So once I saw the video of my performance, I was content with the speech that I gave. But when I got off the stage, I was actually afraid that I had forgotten a part of my speech. But that would be the only part that I would change. I would just decide to not force some of my actions as much as I did because I felt that it was a little bit too staged.
That is crazy. That is crazy. So, Onik, I think that it is time for the audience to know about the thing that we have been waiting for. So, could you take the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, Onik and Salman.
So this is a surprise for all the followers and all the persons who have been following Youth Talent since its inception back a few months ago. And we have been given the privilege and we have, came across so many obstacles. And finally, now we are in such a moment to announce that we are officially launching the official website of Youth Talents. And I would like to request Mr. Aaron Beverly, sir, kindly please have the honors of inaugurating the website.
All right. So let's do this.
I wish I had a ribbon right in front of me, you know, the proper virtual thing, and you have a scissor so we could do it in a proper manner. But
I think it's going to be the first time ever inauguration ceremony of a website in online.
I think, yeah, we made history. We should have contacted Guinness Book for this. I think.
You can open the you can open the screen share so that all of our viewers can see that.
Perfect.
All right. Are we able to see it?
Sir Crystal.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Great.
Perfect.
And it's loading.
Crazy.
All right. Great picture.
Yeah.
You can
But
just
no.
scroll down, there you will get a button.
So as a person who knows how difficult it is to make a website, this is really good.
Honored, sir.
Great job, guys. And I would imagine that mine is going to be on here shortly after we're done this, correct?
Sure.
Yep.
All right.
That is crazy.
So you can also see that our guest host, Mr. Dipraputta, is once upon a time was our guest.
Yeah. Once upon a time, yeah.
Ah, yes, there he is right there.
I'm just honored, like, to be a guest host. That is honor in the first place. But when it comes to someone like you, sir, it's really an honor. And I would like to again let the audience know that this person is extremely busy, and having him in such a platform, we are humbly honored. And the people, the viewers watching this, are also honored by your presence. So thank you so much, sir. And I hope that it is a good day. Of course, in our case, it's a good night. All right, but yeah, the fact that we have opened the website of youth talents is really crazy. So Onik, moving to you with our next part.
I think we can take one comment from the audience.
Definitely.
So, like, how do you keep your face so natural while speaking? I face problems while speaking with other people. It might be face to face with them, or sometimes without face to face. I get really nervous. Without writing the question or answer, I hesitate to talk. How can I overcome this?
I think along with this, there is another question that is very helpful, which I also personally want to know, sir, about the natural face. A lot of people actually miss out the difference between public speaking and theatrics, and they try to become so theatrical that it doesn't seem natural at all. So I just saw your video, and it seems like you're just talking to people. And could you please also address this question? This question followed by the difference between public speaking and theater or drama in the first place.
No, this is something that I am excuse me. This is something that I believe in greatly, that there is a huge difference between speaking and theater. There was one question that somebody gave me before where they said, Aaron, but being on stage is natural to me. Theater is natural to me. And my response was, well, when you asked me your question just now, you didn't ask me, Aaron, what do you think about theater and public speaking? You didn't ask your question about like that. Nobody talks like that. So even though you're comfortable in a theater setting, that does not mean that it's natural to you when you are speaking in your everyday life. So I am always of the mindset that we want to talk how we normally talk, just with a little bit of polish. So we don't want to add as many slang words. We want to make sure that we enunciate clearly. We want to do that, but we don't want to go overboard with our body movements, our facial expressions. So my mindset is always, if I was at the dinner table, how would I give this talk? When I am coaching a client, I always do the dinner test. So they give me their speech sitting down as if we were at a dinner table. And what I find is that the entire presentation changes. Instead of performing, they're just talking to me. And it feels much more natural. It feels much more authentic. So I am personally at war with over dramatization when it comes to public speaking. You will always see me talking about it. You will always see me telling people that you don't need to do it. Let's talk to each other instead of performing at one another. But when it comes to the facial expressions in particular, for me, you do get nervous when you speak to people. And there were times when I would feel that my face was tightening up, or I felt something was twitching and it was going to look weird. I had to just keep talking to people. It's really a matter of getting your body used to speaking. It's the muscle memory that lets your body know, like, okay, I'm doing this, but okay, it's nothing that I need to fear, so I can calm down. And once your body understands that, you can start to speak more confidently because you know that you're not going to be making what you think are silly expressions. But then something else that you need to understand is that it's going to feel a lot worse than it actually looks. This is the same when we are speaking on a stage and we feel that we have to present ourselves in a certain way so that we don't show our fear. we feel our body shaking, and we believe that this is how we think we look when we're on stage. But when the audience is looking at us, they don't see that. Just as with your facial expression, they may not see the twitching in your face because you're nervous. So just calm down, be natural, be authentic, keep doing it over and over again. Your body will get used to it.
Crazy, really crazy.
So basically, you're trying to say that the combination of your body, mind, and your way of speech is the main thing for a good speech. That's just brilliant.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like it's mind and body at the same time.
So, sir, I want to ask you one question. That will be the last question from my side. That why do you want to see yourself after 10 years?
After 10 years, well, one of the things that I am working on now, I want to build a public speaking library, if you will, an online public speaking library that teaches people public speaking, but it doesn't cost them hundreds or thousands of dollars. You don't have to buy $1,000 courses. You don't have to buy $100 products to be an effective speaker. Right now, the public speaking industry is more concerned about making money than helping people. And I believe that public speaking is something that is so critical to the advancement of your career and the advancement of your life. I believe public speaking is something that is absolutely critical to getting world peace in the future. Something that important should not be hidden behind a paywall. So I actually started a YouTube channel, and it's under my name, Aaron W. Beverly. And I'm going to be putting out more content about how to become a more effective speaker. Right now, I'm concentrating a lot on the contest because obviously I'm the world champion of public speaking. So some of my content in the beginning is going to be about competition speaking. But even then, you're going to get tips and tricks about how to become a better public speaker overall. So that's really my goal. Over the next 10 years, I really want to continue to build that library, continue to build my following, and tell people that public speaking is something that will help your career. So learn how to speak effectively and make your life better. So I'm on YouTube, Aaron W. Beverly. I'm on Instagram, Aaron W. Beverly. You can find me there, as well as LinkedIn. Again, Aaron W. Beverly. So if you want to follow me on those platforms, you can follow me. If you have questions that weren't answered there, you can ask me there. Or if you have questions that weren't answered here, you can ask me there, I should say, if I learn how to properly speak. But that's what I plan to do for the next 10 years.
That is really crazy.
So I think we can move on to our rapid fire session. Deepravai, what should we say?
Yeah, definitely.
I have the timer with me. That will be 120 seconds.
All right. So, Mr. Aaron, I actually have been doing hosting for a pretty good time right now. And the thing that I love about this is this particular thing, which is a rapid fire round. So these are going to be questions of different genres and not specifically public speaking. And it's a basically fun session so that people can not only know about your public speaking life, but also something in general. All right. So this is how it's going to work. If you do not have the exact impromptu answer to that question, which is basically 1 word or 2 words, you can just tell me to skip and I can directly move on to the next question. All right.
Okay.
So the record is not that much. It's basically 11 or 12 questions answered per minute. So your target to beat is around 25 maximum. All right. And keeping in mind that you are the public speaking champion and you won't face any problem when it comes to speaking and immediate thinking, I think that this is going to be a very interesting round. Right. So let's buckle up.
Adding on the pressure now, huh?
Of course. So we're just going to wait. And let me add some extra pressure that you are the only proper public speaker that is facing this round. So you have a lot at stake. Right.
Okay.
Perfect. So let me
Tension rising.
Yeah. So I hope that you have a sip of water because this is going to be a bit difficult, but we're going to have fun. All right. Perfect. So with that being said, Onik, give us a timer and we're going to start when the live is exactly 1 hour. So it's 5:50. So give us a timer.
So I'm just starting it in 3, 2, 1.
If you could buy one type of food right now, what would it be?
Spaghetti.
What color is your toothbrush?
Blue.
Favorite animal?
Tiger.
Superhero favorite? Which one?
Batman.
Favorite celebrity artist?
John Legend.
Favorite summer holiday?
4th of July. Independence
All right.
Day.
If a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be?
Action.
Dream job?
Speaker.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Night.
What's your favorite hobby except for public speaking?
TV.
One thing that annoys you the most?
Baby's crying.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Energetic. Introvert. Speaker.
What would you do if you get to visit Mars?
I would never visit Mars.
All right. What would you do with 15 minutes of fame?
Say that again. Sorry.
All right, Skip. What is your biggest addiction?
TV.
All right. What is the worst job you could ever have?
Waiter.
Which celebrity do you look up to?
John Legend.
If you could talk to the president, what would you talk about?
I would
Time
not
up.
talk to the current one.
Time up.
All right. That is crazy. That is crazy. So with 2 minutes done, all right. Can I have a drum roll? Like, honestly, sir, I knew that you would win, but you have completed 36 questions. So with that being said, congratulations. You set a new world record. Just kidding. But I hope that was fun. We really loved your presence over here. And I think with that being said, we are almost at the end of this session. With over 100 plus comments in a very few time, we could really see the interaction that we had with the audience. So Mr. Aaron Beverly, thank you so much. Me, Deepakota, is honored to have you. And honestly, this would go directly down to my CV that I got to host the legendary Aaron Beverly. So how do you feel after this interview?
Thank you.
All right, so it's a pleasure to have you here. What are your thoughts on this entire thing that we had for the last an hour?
Oh, no, I think this was absolutely great. So great informal session, really easy. And I see that the audience is enjoying it. They're very active in the comments. It seems as if every few seconds I was hearing a ding, 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 ding for somebody just typing in the comments. So thank you, everybody, for being so engaged. Thank you to our 3 amazing hosts. And just keep up the good work, everyone.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, sir. And we can end our session officially here. And I think we can end here.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Good night.
so much to all the
Thank you.
viewers who have been through here from the first till the last of this session. And this session was so amazing. It was not possible for many people to leave, actually.
Exactly. So yeah.
Thank you so much for all of your time here. And with this, I conclude the session of the YT Talks Grand episode here. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.